Good morning, everybody. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll have Henry start us off today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rockingham County Commissioners meeting of July 11th, 2024. In the room, I have Michelle Schmidt. I have Sandra Mayon. Is that right? Both of you still. Chuck Nickerson, only took me 3 years. Layla. Akila. Did I say that one? Ah. All right, we have,
Working, the operative word.
hold on a second, I can't hear you.
Excuse me, Paul Carantona from Cooperative Extension.
Paul, welcome.
I can spell the last if you need it for the record.
We have Eileen from Finance.
HR.
I mean, I'm sorry, HR, Allison from HR,
Go
Yeah.
ahead and start.
Commissioner Coyle,
Good
and
morning.
Commissioner Godu.
Morning.
And in Zoom, we have the sheriff with Catherine Mann, we have Superintendent Henry, and we've got a couple of people on the phone. Right from the public, Jude Gates just popped in, and I'm sure others will pop in. I'm with the chair, Brian Churchill. So we'll begin with the RFP open awards. For care renewals.
I move to authorize the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT to review, evaluate the proposals and return with recommendation.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Opening for the O365 subscriptions.
Move to authorize the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT to review, evaluate the proposals and return with a recommendation.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on this one? Pretty straightforward. On the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Oh, thank you.
Doors
We're
opening?
keeping us on track. for the
Yes.
opening. Get the,
This is
Actual opening.
What was that Johnny Carson skit like that? Conan.
I don't know, but I,
Put it
yeah,
up to your head.
Karnak.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. All right. Oh, man, really out. One,
Maybe that's second.
yeah, these are for the white. There's no. Guess I don't have to cook it too. You know, there's always those people at Christmas, the way your holidays, you'll bring, are you clean up? Yeah, exactly.
Hence, do you save the wrapper?
Yeah.
Called pennies.
All right.
Okay, all set? So we do an award for the delegation wall removal.
I move to award the proposal for delegation wall removal to Triple Construction LLC for an amount not to exceed $24,923 as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion on this one.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Coyle.
Why are we, as I understand it, this is an effort to expand, this is more for the discussion with commissioners, to expand the conference room in the delegation office, but it just seems like we're building a new building that's going to have huge conference space. So what is the impetus for spending $25,000 for a wall removal now? Do we?
I can answer that, but I'll.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so this actually went back when Commissioner Tombarella was here. And we offered space to the delegation and they chose not to take us up on that. So,
Well, I
What-
know that part of it, but the
Okay.
question is with respect to, sure, the Cheryl decided she wanted to stay over in her delegation office. My question is, the effort to do this is to create greater conference room space. And now,
Yeah.
you know, with the new building, there's gonna be plenty of conference meeting space everywhere.
yeah, so again, the discussion was had previously, and it was promised that we would probably have some ARPA money to do that. And extend that conference room. It is tight. I've been there many times. I'm sure both commissioners have as well. It was promised and that's what the delegation wants. So it was approved as far as going forward with it. Now we're just doing the finance piece on it, but that's the best answer I can give you.
The building, I'll just note that the building really is not very conducive to meeting with a lot of people, just in general. It's almost set up like a home. And I think one big open room probably makes that building more useful over the course of time. Because they don't need all those small rooms, and the conference room is, it's, you know, you can put
Yeah.
six, 8 people in there, and that would be
It's
enough.
small, but I just fear,
They could have come over to the new building, and they could use that space, and I'm sure if they need it, they'll ask for it and use it, but I don't see a problem with.
it feels a little bit of duplicative services,
Well-
and this is like, you know, as stewards of the taxpayer dollar, it's like we should look at it carefully. But
All right, any more discussion?
from a perspective of the, looking at the bids, this seemed like, this was the least expensive and
Yeah.
low cost.
Yeah,
Do
significantly lower.
you have anything else, thoughts?
I think you've pretty much covered it. I do think they like to have their own space. You know, sometimes they just have little subcommittee meetings and what have you, and I don't think they especially want to use space in the new building. I think they really like having their own building. And the room as it currently sits is really not, even without the COVID perspective, it's really not functional. It's way
Yeah.
too.
Okay,
All right, so we have a motion on the floor in a second, so on that motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes,
Commissioner Coyle,
yes,
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Workers' compensation, third-party administration.
I move to award the proposal for workers' compensation third-party administration to the Lawson Group for an amount not for the period of August 1st, 2024 through July 31st, 2027, with an annual administration fee of $48,437.10 and other associated costs outlined on their proposal as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Coyle?
So a couple of things. I mean, we have had an ongoing, very good relationship with the Lawson Group. Just note for the, you know, they're going up 10 or 11%-ish, but they haven't gone up in quite some time, so it's not unexpected. We got three different bids that came back. The future comp seemed like really a bit of an outlier, and Allison, you referenced that it appears that they have a lot of other hidden costs. But when I was looking at the spreadsheet summary, I didn't see where those hidden costs were. So I was just trying to understand, and why would they come in so low? Are like they, you know, I think we see sometimes insurance companies, at least in the first year, or they come in really, the administration, they come in low at the beginning to try to, you know, solicit business. And
I wasn't comfortable with the bid at all, and Lisa went back out and vetted it, because Lisa does the workers' comp. She's not here right now. I'm sorry, I should have had her come over, but she was uncomfortable with it too. They were way outside the perimeter, and even when we look back, a couple of years back to those that submitted before, this would have never, this rate
Met
doesn't
our-
even, yeah, there's just too many anomalies that we couldn't get clarification on how they would charge, what they would be charging for.
from the other bidders,
from no
From
future
this one,
comp.
Future
future
comp.
comp.
But when I look back at our previous RFP and I looked at where rates were from those bidders, they were all in and around the same, like $10,000 or $15,000 off of each other. This is way outside the
right?
par. I probably wouldn't have put it on there, but I wanted you to at least say that they had, and we were not comfortable. We didn't have enough history on them. We couldn't find a lot of information when Lisa went out to look. But I put it on there for you to see.
It didn't even seem to be a comparative bid. They were like, they changed the rules and said, I know this is what you want, but here's what we want to bid on.
Correct.
Is almost what, that was a good evaluation.
Yeah. But it's good to just from a public perspective, understand why we're not going with the lowest bid here in the national. So,
Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
yes.
I vote yes. We are on to the consent agenda.
I'm gonna just, because I was not here on the 27th, I'm gonna separate the minutes into two
Okay.
motions. I move to approve the June 27th public and non-public meeting minutes.
second,
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any additions or subtractions or anything that anyone found? Okay, so on the motion for June 27th, Commissioner Coyle,
I'm gonna abstain.
Yeah. Commissioner Godu,
yes,
and I vote yes. 2-0.
I move to approve the July 3rd, 2024 public and non-public meeting minutes.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any additions or subtractions to those? If not,
no,
okay, on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
Commissioner Godu,
yes,
I vote yes. All right, in our packet.
thank you, Leila.
We have the HR bi-weekly recruitment report. I don't know if anyone wants to chime in at all on that report. Have a chance to look at it.
Yes.
Do you have anything, Commissioner Godu?
I looked at it, it's still, our process needs a little bit more work, I think, and we have some new tools.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that that will make a difference.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that we haven't gone far enough with wage increases.
I agree.
And I would like to open a discussion at some point of what we can do in case we don't get where we want to go.
And
I will say that, you know, we are in a lull, the month of June and July and August are gonna be, however. Department of Corrections is getting a lot of traction and we're starting to see some traction with the LNAs.
that's where,
I just want to let you know we are.
That's the one.
Lisa
So-
has, before autumn left,
That's
she
my
denoted
question.
that there were a few coming in, and Lisa, if you're around, who's coming for her, there are a few coming in. We've had a couple of former employees that had moved on, that have now come back
Oh,
to
nice.
the table, so we're looking at their
Seriously?
files to kind of see if they're eligible for rehire and stuff, so that's good. I wanted to connect with Michelle the other day on two of those files to have her go through, and if she's okay with them, we're moving forward, because my glance at it was, they were okay, so they are already on A, so they would be able to come in the mix, they know our culture here, so that would be a good. So that might be two, and I think we have 2 or 3 more, so that's pretty good, and I hope that we'll get to move on to those minutes, so.
what we're seeing, so what, as I take, my takeaway is that we're starting to see some traction from the MOU.
Because we put out the stipend out there on the advertisement, so I think that is now
Drawing
drawing,
people.
and I think people that may have been here or knew of us have maybe starting to mention that there's a stipend out here. The wages, the stipend is out there, so that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm feeling, and so
Okay.
Lisa and I will be connecting this afternoon. We have time, so to kind of go through this and see what that looks like.
Well, I think like probably all of us feel we should, and to Commissioner Godu's point, we monitor it very closely. And because if we need to make changes or make shifts and say like, hey, it's close, but we're not, you know, we need to make sure we're at market.
And my concern is that we don't wait 6 months to do it
Right,
because it's affecting our budget
right.
in, too great a form.
Which lends to the next portion, which is our traveler report, right?
Are we all done with the recruitment? Then we'll move on to the.
I'm okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the travel, since we brought up, so. Also in our packet, we have the weekly agency travel report. So does anyone want to chime in on the report? Who put this together?
Riley does, so Autumn Newsome is our recruiter, as you know, and now that Riley has been brought on board as a permanent position on the agency. Autumn is mentoring her, and I kind of gave Autumn a spectrum of what I felt would be good for the report and what we should be capturing in that. And so she worked with her to establish that report, and so now Autumn is submitting a report in. So it gives you the agencies, what the price point is for LNA, LPN, RN from each of the agencies, how many we have hired out of those agencies and those price points. It's kind of glaring. You can kind of just see some higher level agencies.
Glaring is a good.
Glaring. I mean, I think the takeaway I had is we have the most hires of LNAs from career staff, and we're paying that rate at $60 now. So, I mean, I know we've had a lot of discussion. It's just, again, it dovetails with the prior conversation of making sure we can, really aggressively recruit LNA's employees.
Also maybe a bigger conversation for Michelle and I to have about the quality of LNAs that we're getting. Maybe it is great that career staff has a better quality, but the cost on that is a higher. And if our expectations in those discussions can go with the other agencies are really clear, expectation. We may want to or need to swing to some of those other agencies that have lower cost.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion that we should have to kind of figure out what's the best tool, what lanes we should really be looking in and sourcing them.
So I want to sort of gather some thoughts here on, my understanding is, I guess Merrimack County, there's a couple of counties that actually, what they do with the traveling side of things is they RFP those contracts out to try to help keep costs down. Have we thought about that?
I have, those HR directors that would have done that. So Merrimack County is one. I think there's another one. I will reach out to them because I'd like to see if they share their RFP. And B, if they're limiting it to so many and what that kind of looks like. And
Yeah.
I'd like to share that with Michelle and kind of talk about if that's something viable for us. And I want to see the success from Merrimack, what their success
Yeah.
is in the other one to see if it's really successful.
Okay.
Just using those, I need to know how many they have. Is it 2 that they're working with? Is it 4?
Yeah.
Because we're up to 13 or 14, and I think, we need to kind of bring that back into scope.
Okay.
I think that's a larger conversation we can have.
Michelle, further question, are you seeing any of these costs going down? I read where some of the traveling nurses' fees have started to come down.
The only decrease I've seen is like a $5 an hour decrease. It's not a significant,
It's not significant.
decrease. No, because we were looking at the rates and it was like 55 to 60 or 65 to 60, like 65 to 60.
Yeah.
It's not a
not-
I just want to see
significant,
if
yeah,
it-
it's very minimal.
starting a trend at all, because I know, listen, we're not unique in this situation.
No.
Everyone's dealing with the same thing. And as some industries are actually closing long-term care, so I'm just wondering if you have all these staff and they can't job them out, it's law of supply and demand, right? So if those rates start coming down, it would be great if we start seeing that. So
I
just
mean, that
something to keep
would be
our eye
the
on.
hope is that, that's what we see, but I think we're still not there.
Not
The demand is still too great and they know it, so,
Mhm.
that's,
So the leverage is with them right now.
yeah.
Right.
Commissioner Godu?
I would prefer to, the approach to, remove the demand.
Yeah.
Right,
In any way that we can, because even if we had to pay
You're
the
saying,
same rate that they're paying the LNAs for us, we're still gonna come out ahead.
Right.
If nothing else with continuity of service.
I agree. I was
We
gonna make
just have
that
to do
point.
what we have to do.
Our should be entirely based on trying to get the staff in and build that continuity base, build that. And even if it requires greater training from the inside, we're better equipped to train our own people to get the, quality and care, level of care that we want, as opposed to having the turnover, having the lack of continuity of service, and we're still playing, out of our.
It's also a drain on resources because, on the
Yeah.
front end, because we're bringing on these in and the onboarding, that just sucks, so much
Right.
time out of some key positions that should be doing more.
absolutely. They could be
Others
doing
that
more
needs
for our
to be out
staff.
there.
We have a position just dedicated to onboarding,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then even beyond that, once they're in the facility, the resources that are used to track
Scheduling.
them and discuss issues, performance issues, attendance issues, the resources that we use on the back end, just to even try to keep them on board is
Enormous.
Yeah,
So it's like, it's really about our priority. I mean, I hear you to the extent that RFPing, but I think if there's, and it, they're mutually exclusive, but I do think we need to prioritize the,
and historically, some of the
Improve
agencies kind of focus on certain things. So career staff, their focus is LNAs. There's some agencies that don't even focus on that. Like there's an agency that only really provides us with licensed staff, so nurses, LPNs and RNs. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of their culture of what they grow and what they have for availability for staff. So we do
Cormet.
have 2 agencies, one is LNA focused and one is nurse focused.
Yeah,
Those are our 2 primary.
Oh,
Cormet is
how
not.
are we,
Maximum is.
how are we with the Biden administration's mandate for staffing?
we're not there. There's definitely, I have a new article that came out. It's an 11-page thing from CMS that's kind of talking about how they want to backdoor facilities into initiating this sooner than later. I did talk to Ray about it this week, and Jason and I had done some work on it prior to.
Yeah.
Because we have to include it in our facility assessment. And they gave us a date, but we're thinking that it might even come sooner because I think there's some push at the legislature level. So yeah, we're definitely watching that really closely, and
Yeah,
they have to make some changes, and we have to meet those requirements, if they push them
Yeah.
faster.
now my understanding is, when I went to Washington in March and met with the federal delegation, that, our senators, and our Congress people, were actually against these mandates and vocally mentioned that.
Right.
Because they understand that it's just a people issue. We don't have enough people. We don't have enough nurses. That's the problem. And so I want to say that, the mandate gives you a little bit of time. Was it 2 years?
Yeah, it was initially, but like I said, the new form that came out like 2 weeks ago, it kind of indicates that they're gonna try to get it in faster, sooner. And I don't know if it's because so many people are being so vocal and speaking out about it.
Yeah.
That they kind of want to get it done before anything changes.
Yeah.
You know, before,
Right.
But this just emphasizes our need for LNAs.
yeah.
Yeah, it sure
Yeah.
does.
And the big part is the RN
RN.
piece.
And RN,
The RN piece is very big,
Yeah,
and your director of nurses and people in those roles can't cover those hours. They're very specific on who it can be.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's, the big concern is that there are not enough nurses in the areas to staff these buildings the way that they want them to.
okay. Commissioner Godu?
When this came out, we were told by Jason that we were not at risk, that we had adequate staffing to cover that had it been implemented, but the other nursing homes were in
Right.
worse shape than we are.
Yeah.
Are we not at the level that they're requesting now? Would we have to make some changes?
On certain days, certain shifts, there are areas of concern. Because we don't always have an RN in that supervisory kind of position that we need to have. So, I mean, we're kind of like right on the cusp, in my opinion, for someday, because if we have a call out, if that call out happens to be that person that we're relying on, we have to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
So whether that's gonna be having like an on-call, schedule or something, but we don't have a lot of resources, we don't have a lot of RNs. So how that's gonna look, I don't know. I mean, on any given day, yeah, the schedule may look great, but you have to plan for the unexpected, and
Yeah.
that happens quite frequently.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that you've got your eye on the
Well,
ball.
we pushed up the RN rate because we were way off
Right.
market, extremely off market
Yeah.
on that. Chuck and I, since I've come in the door, we had like 8 or 10 RN positions. Since then, we had repurposed some because we couldn't get them and we had needs somewhere else. But we
No.
still have 6 RNs that, if we get a hit on that once every 6 months or something like that, we're lucky. But once they hear the rate of pay, then they're union, they're out the door, and the New Hampshire retirement system. So that RN rate really, really needs to be looked at.
And historically, RNs, it's difficult to get RNs in long-term care.
Yeah.
Even new grads, it's tough. There was a time when hospitals weren't hiring LPNs. Couldn't get in the door if you were an LPN, and now they're hiring LPNs because even their demand, is great. So it's very tough to get an RN, in the building, but.
What I'm hearing is that we need to start looking at the the RN rate now. Because this is coming down the pipeline and we need to get some, build some infrastructure now before it becomes an issue. So
Okay.
part of a bigger discussion, but in the sense of we need to start.
And just final, the report was excellent, and it really brought everything to light of where we're at, the ugly truth of how many people we're hiring out at the agency. It was really clear, so
Yeah.
it's a good report, thank you.
She's gonna do every other week.
Similarly.
Just so that, it kind of ties in, but it's every other week so we can really see it and kind of figure out what you want to do.
And we know we're having a further meeting to start talking about that financial piece tied to this. So we're so that when and this is for everyone in Zoom land and all the, for the public, so that we can monitor our budgetary end of use of contracted staff. So
Right.
we are very much looking at that just for everyone, you know, that it is at the forefront of our mind to address.
Okay, so we're on to, also in our packets, the adult medical daycare payout report. Does anyone have anything to talk about on that?
Well, we have plenty of budget and it's, you know, I don't think that we're in any difficulty at the moment, although it does really. The two agencies that we're using handle, you know, services in a completely opposite way. Silverthorne is a supplement at some level to assist with Medicare,
Medicaid.
Medicaid. But Easter Seals doesn't seem to take any of that. And so when they ask for money, they're asking for the whole amount, and we can't service as many, you know, we can't assist as many people with them. And I encourage the model that Silverthorne is following, but I don't know if there's any other resources to use.
Well, I mean, I think that brings us back to the conversation we were having last week about allocation of resources to particular agencies. Like historically, we have apportioned certain amounts of that 100 and we were having the discussion about whether we, you know, just keep the pool or apportion certain amounts. And what I see from here, to your point, I saw the same thing. We're spending, you know, it's like $80. Is it a half day? For
As a full.
a full day, sorry, yeah. And $60 for the half. It's $80 for a day at Easter Seals and a fraction of that for Silverthorne. And to your point, the Medicaid versus private pay. I mean, I do think we want to help because private pay is expensive. Not that we should neglect Easter Seals, but when I see this, it strikes me that we should put our faith in Silverthorne, because basically Silverthorne is the only adult medical daycare facility in the county that services Medicaid residents. And so we really need to support them. And I think we need to say, hey, we're going to right now fund you at, you know, 60,000 for the year. And, you know, if things change, we can always move money or figure it out, but we need to put our, a stake in the ground and say, we support the Medicaid, your efforts to support Medicaid residents.
The other concern that I had from the report is that I'm not sure that we have a good handle on the folks who are being supplemented. And like, we really, there was reference to a spreadsheet that hasn't been quite put together, but it would seem that because do we have a
We got that.
comprehensive? Did I miss that?
It's in the packet.
Yeah,
Oh, with the last packet that came in last night? Okay, and does that include a list of the patients that are,
yes.
and how much each? Okay, I didn't see that particular. Comes in late, I don't see it.
Yeah,
So
I agree with most of what Commissioner Coyle said. Where I disagree is I don't want to, I don't want to specify an amount. I think we're on the right course as far as what we discussed last week on a case-by-case basis. I do agree with the fact that we get better bang for the buck, I'll say, with Silverthorne than we do with Easter Seals, for sure. And so I have no problem, when the need is there and the ask is there to give them what they need. But I don't want to allocate certain amounts for our funds. But anyway, I guess we can get into specifics.
I guess I would just ask, I mean, it seems to me that the agencies want that. They want us to give them an award so that they know what they're operating with. So they don't bring residents in that then get, you know, they have to, you know, because they have to plan for their staffing and all their needs. So if they say they're going to have a resident, you know, using the facility, they want to know that that money is there. And I feel, again, really that particularly with Silverthorne where we have, they're the only operation that supports Medicaid residents, that we should be giving them a show of support and consistency.
I get the fact that on their side of things, by allocating a set amount of money, it helps them on their budget year, right? However, this is a budget from the county. And I would think that we just tell them, this is the pool of money that we have. Once it's depleted, it's depleted. I'm not really beholden to the board of directors of Silverthorne or Easter Sales, to be honest with you. It has to come to in front of us anyway. And I don't think we've denied,
But-
not what, 3 years.
But why would how does it hurt us by not giving them the show of support?
I just don't want to do it that way.
But no, I know, but the question is, why is it detrimental to the county to
All
do
right,
it that way?
so let's kind of play the devil's advocate here for a second. Let's just say I tell Silverthorne, all right, you're gonna get 60,000. And then for some strange reason, we have an issue like we had earlier, and we have to transfer numbers.
Yeah.
And I have to take from that pool. I already told them they're gonna get 60,000, and if I don't give them the 60,000, they're gonna say, hey, you promised us 60,000. That's the problem I don't want to do. I'd
But-
rather do it like Commissioner Godu and I discussed, it was a pay as you go. We haven't denied anybody, they've gotten the money. I mean, we can let them know we have X amount of dollars in the overall fund.
But they don't know how much they're, in terms of how on board.
I understand that, and I understand the dilemma that they may have, because they can't
It's,
properly budget, I
We
guess,
can-
but that's not my concern. My concern is, a commissioner, is I'm overseeing the taxpayers of Rockland. But that's just a difference of opinion. Commissioner?
We only have two agencies that are helping us with this. If they have concerns, we probably should listen to what their concerns are. Now, there's been a simple request that we're not in favor of just throwing certain budget numbers on right at the moment, but I'm just now looking at the list of people who are being taken care of, and the disparity, first of all, is
Striking.
between the numbers that come from Silverthorne compared to Easter Seals. And I would like to award Silverthorne more money because they're doing so much more with the money. But I believe their facility, I visited the facility, it's maxed out. Last I checked, they were completely to the max. So I don't know if we supported them more, that they could help more people.
but we could at least say, we can figure out what their max is and make sure they're supported through the end of backfill it by, we know what the rate is, we know what, and so at least they know they're supported to carry on at capacity. And still, I mean, I'd be comfortable with leaving a general pool and a show of support for Silverthorne, just so they,
And Easter Seals. I mean, I don't want to ignore them
No, I
either,
either.
but, and they want to know how much they can offer.
right.
So I think that we owe them a little bit more discussion to better understand their needs of what they're doing, and then maybe we can offer a little more guidance.
Or just, and like maybe it's some combination where we take money and we give them an initial award now, and then we leave an open pool for overage,
Yeah.
and we can assess it. It's just, I think, it's a good point. Let's bring them in and have them speak to us and understand what their needs directly from them. But I do think, it's important that we listen to them so that we can help them do the work that they're doing.
Well, can we invite them to come join us
Sure.
for
Yeah.
a future meeting
We can
and,
do that.
listen to what their concerns are and make sure that we're, a good partner?
Right.
Very good.
Because we're helping our residents, that's
the bottom
fundamentally,
line.
we're helping our residents, and it is a version of delayed institutional,
Certainly is.
delayed care, and that's exactly, it's saving the county money by giving this option to the residents, right? I mean, when you think about the cost of staffing in a residential setting versus having this option, it is beneficial to the county to support as many people and help these adult medical daycare facilities as much as we can.
Okay. I'll set the conversation there. It looks like we'll schedule something in the future and get some more information.
Well, yeah, I think we should do it sooner than later.
Well, we'll reach out, we'll reach out. to them.
Reach out and see
Yeah,
when
of
they're
course, I
available.
just don't wanna like push it off too far.
All right,
Right.
so now we're on to number 5, OSET. It's the July 11th council table list.
We have two motions, one is for 24 and one is for 25, and that's not uncommon because we're at the end of, we just wrapped up the fiscal year, so we're kind of doing a hybrid. And thank you, Chuck, for breaking it down into two different, those two different APs and explaining it, so it's easy for us. But
I would request that we table this till next week. I have not seen the documents. We tried to transmit them to me. I haven't been able to get them. And I know it's big. It's a big document, specifically the Harvey warrant that I always want to look at. I have not had an opportunity to do that. And what concerns me about that is that we've received the request from Harvey probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I've been very happy to receive that and have a little bit more time to review it. But instead, I get it the day before, and this time didn't even receive it because there was difficulty because the file was so large. This is the largest payment that we've made to them. It's around $5 million. And I have not had an opportunity to look at it.
So-
You know, we need to make some other accommodation. I mean, have you looked at it? Did you
Yeah,
get it
no,
by email
No, I
or did you
looked
get a
at- I
printout?
looked at it last night in my email, but here's what I'm gonna say, and I don't want it to be taken the wrong way, please. I'm just gonna ask you, I think you have every right to see it. Commissioner Godu. Historically, you've abstained from anything of the construction. So by taking time and tabling this, so you can read it, is that gonna make you change your mind as far as voting approval or disapproval? Or are you gonna abstain? I'm just, like I said, don't take it the wrong way.
No, I get it.
I don't wanna stall it if you're just gonna vote abstain.
Well, and I
And
may,
that's your right,
again,
that's your right to do that.
but I've had no opportunity to comment on it or to look at it. And I question whether you've gotten to see it either, because if you're looking at it by email, I could look at it by email, but the email didn't send it over. We got a summary report from Chuck that did come over without any trouble, but the actual warrant with the receipts and the details, didn't make it over email.
I think it was 197 pages, is what I remember, but,
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's just my
It came-
email.
okay, but
We got it
here's,
Tuesday.
so here's the thing.
Right, yes,
Here's the
it
thing.
came in Tuesday and I've been working to try to get it, to look at it since
So
Tuesday.
here's the thing, you have every right as a commissioner to look at it. Okay, and you have every right to comment on it. But I don't want to table it if it's just gonna be an abstention, because you can make a comment any week you want under new business, old business. So we're not preventing you from making comments. Like I said, I don't want you to take it the wrong way. It's just the way I see it. And I don't know, Commissioner Coyle, do you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I think it's a fair point. We do have access. I think we can all anticipate what you're gonna say. There's certain receipts missing for small items. The large stuff is largely taken care of. In the grand scheme of how the warrants are, I'd say overwhelming, they're reviewed. We have this review process. You're gonna say, I don't agree with it, I abstain. Generally, you'll still have an opportunity to review it, but I think I'm comfortable going forward. They have been consistent. They're reviewed, there's a process, and studying the spreadsheets of the summary spreadsheets. As well as, it seems like it all lines up with, you see with the work that you can see outside, so as well as discussions about what's happening, the review process we have. We don't review every receipt for every warrant anywhere. And so because we have a process, an internal process up the chain and,
So I'm gonna, at this point, I'm gonna allow Commissioner Godu to make a motion if he so chooses. And then we'll just see where it takes us. Or,
I motion the table.
okay, so there's a motion, do I hear a second? No second, so that motion fails. Okay,
so, I moved, so let's start with motion one. I move to approve a fiscal year 2024 accounts payable list total of $6,091,888.83.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion on this? Or did we talk it all out?
I think we just, I guess I have just a quick. My observation is, that we're staying largely on budget with the building. Is that, I mean.
Yeah, and you're gonna see larger invoices obviously as you go along,
Yeah.
because some of the larger, bigger ticket items come. I mean, I could easily picture when some of the major equipment pieces come in, it's gonna accelerate that much more. So like when the HVAC stuff comes in and things like that, some of the, high dollar security features, things like that, the amounts are gonna be increasing. Jude can speak more to some of the timing of things as well.
Okay, so I have a motion on the, further discussion?
And Chuck, in terms of, obviously, we've talked many times about the process that you go through and you and Jude and the team goes through and reviewing invoices to create this warrant. And, is it fair to say that same process took place for this warrant?
Yeah, and Deborah or Jermaine is looking at it. Katie Casey in my office is looking at it as well. Also, the amounts are gonna start going up more too, because work's being done by revision.
Yeah.
As well, so billing probably for some of those items too. So there was a significant amount of that 5 million. I think it's like 1 million was actually for solar.
Okay,
Jude?
Jude, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think we have absolutely been following the process. It did come in a couple of weeks ago and we had some questions that needed to be answered. So we don't just summarily turn it over when we get it. We review it, Warren Street reviews it. As Chuck noted, my AP person looks at it, Katie Casey in finance looks at it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you, Jude. So are we ready for the motion? There's a motion and a second on the floor. So on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
Abstain.
and I will vote yes. All right, motion number 2.
I move to approve a fiscal year 2025 accounts payable list total of $188,474.02.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on it? Seeing, no, okay.
Oh, just like some of it was, Kathy, did you pay for your, like a service contract for the year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, the biggest part, is the 450,000 for scheduled bond payment.
Yeah.
So that takes up almost half of the list total itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, we're on to reports for the commissioners. Any commissioners want to add anything, say anything? Commissioner Coyle, you have something?
Just, thank you to Jude and her team in the process of there's been a lot of challenges with air conditioning and HVAC with the heat, and I know your team has been working really hard to keep the facility in a, as cool as possible for everybody. So thank you for your team's extra efforts.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Lost in a little thought here. So, Commissioner Godu, do you have anything?
I have a couple of concerns. Like to, but it may be new business.
Okay.
I'd like to see some aging on what we have for outstanding for people who are behind on their payments for the nursing home. We have an incident where something is gone awry with one resident, and so I'd like to see what else is, what else is out there. But we could take that up maybe as part of the other discussion.
Yeah.
The other thing that concerned me, we were made aware this week of outside transportation that's being used. I'm concerned that we should get fully vetted from Primex that we are not liable on the, it would appear that the transportation is arranged and paid for by by outside insurance companies. And I believe the non-lawyer opinion is that it seems like that we're not liable, but on the other hand, we're initiating it and it's our resident. And so I just want to be sure that we are covered, because I took a look at who we're using. And they were less than impressive. You know, that they're running the office out of two places that are apartment complexes in Londonderry and Derry. That's very unusual it seems to me, unusual for transport business. Excuse me, the website doesn't work. You know, it's just like the flags are going off, like I'm not sure these guys are legit. And so I'm concerned for our residents, first of all, and second of all, for our liability.
You know, we'll back up, we did go out to RFP for this. And we're unsuccessful in getting any, you know, transport services. So that's kind of why and I don't know if the industry is changing, but I don't disagree with you that we need to, what is our exposure and how are we gonna best move forward with?
So, yeah,
Do you-
so
Yeah, so there's been a big change in the industry as far as transportation. Residents going out to appointments, or doctor's offices for different procedures or whatever. We used to utilize ambulance services. Those ambulance services are no longer available anywhere, not just in this area. They only now really respond to our emergency 911 calls. So yes, there's this new kind of transportation, you know, mode of transportation for residents to get to appointments. And again, it is driven by the insurance companies. And they are sent to us when we request such transportation. So that is the only way right now to get residents to appointments.
yeah, so I sort of gonna echo Commissioner Godu's concern, because for one in particular, I'm not gonna name their names, did come back to a condo, a condominium garden style, in my hometown. And just from past experience, typically, if you're running, first off, a lot of condo associations don't allow you to run businesses out of condos. That's number one. There's usually restrictions on that. Number two, you've got to go in front of the zoning board to get a variance if you were to do that. Now, I didn't go the extra step to see if there was a variance pulled so that this person could actually operate a business out of that address. So I'm concerned about the liability, just like the other two commissioners had mentioned, and that's a concern. And so I think it's a wise move to get Primex to look at it. I'm also thinking that, you know, I don't know if we have waivers of liability when they go out off the campus of the county. You know, just as extra added protection for the county. I don't know. These are things that we need to kind of look at and maybe get into a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
All right,
That's all. I have for now.
Commissioner Coyle, did I have?
You did.
Okay, all right, so I just wanna, I'm gonna bring up a subject that I just need to word very carefully. And I've been guilty of sometimes of getting on social media and you know, saying things very quickly. But I just wanna caution commissioners that we're all commissioners, and when you go out on social media, to be very careful of what you post or say about county employees. In particular, laying blame to anything. With the commissioners here, we all know this, that we don't have a county administrator. So the three commissioners are in charge of the day-to-day operations, basically. And if there's any blame for anything, or word gets out there that this is, you know, certain things are happening, we need to be very careful about naming or pointing fingers at employees. Because the buck stops there. there's any blame, it's the three commissioners. Okay, so I just want to caution commissioners to be very, very careful of what you say. It could be a liability issue down the road, but it was brought to my attention last week, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, just to be careful when you're posting stuff. So that's all I have to say. Next would be Glendale proposal. I thought, do we have, sitting right outside, do you want to bring him in? Jim?
Oh, is Jim here?
Yeah,
Oh, I was just trying to send him a text, wondering where he was.
Yeah, I think so, right? Do you want to go through that? Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Oh,
I think, Brian, do you want to switch the Glendale proposal with the UNH cooperative MOU?
okay.
Do you have a lot?
No, we're gonna move from the agenda. We're gonna let the UNH just do theirs quickly while you guys can free walk a little bit. We won't take long.
Yeah,
with that. We're just
I'm
gonna
good with
get
that.
off the agenda.
Yeah.
All right, so UNH, Paul,
Yes. Remember?
you're up.
Love, everything you just covered, I'm really surprised you remember my name. That's very impressive. So yes, Paul Carantona, UNH Cooperative Extension, Public Affairs Manager. A few weeks ago, I came here, I don't believe Mr. Coyle was here that day, but we had the pleasure to meet at the finance committee.
That's right.
Yes, as well, so that was nice. A few weeks ago, Amy Loader, our director, came with Greg Jordan, who is our Rockingham County Office Administrator, to present our MOU for consideration, and we had submitted that to you all. Truly, I'm here just in case there's other questions you might have, and as you kind of go through the consideration of the MOU and as we move forward through signing and go through this process.
Yeah.
Greg happens to be out on vacation this week when it's taken up again, and Amy and I are just fighting in Concord, and I'll shoot him up to be here right now. So here as a support, or any questions you may have, I can support, but I don't really have anything beyond.
Okay, no, we appreciate you coming back. At the last meeting, I mentioned to me, it's sort of like the local budgets with the libraries, right? So typically the libraries, you vote a bottom line, and then the libraries get to choose where they're gonna spend that money. It's similar to me that way. It's framed that way. So I have no problem. So other commissioners want to chime in?
I'm prepared to support it. Just make the motion and let's move on.
Likewise, just as a background, maybe you guys already did this, this is a statutorily required obligation to sign these MOUs every 6 years. We're coming up on that time frame. The county has supported the UNH co-op since like 14 or 15, so it's been a long-standing-ish relationship. It's nice that the co-op provides educational services to needs-based, so
Very good. So I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the MOU with UNH Cooperative.
If you go to the next page, it's
To
written out.
approve the memorandum MOU between the University Systems of New Hampshire and Rockingham County and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents.
Second,
Been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If
Thank you.
not, on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
And I vote
Thank
yes.
So thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. You don't have to stay if you don't want.
Well, I was curious, I believe we have if you don't mind signing now, I
You
can
wanna
take them with
sign
me
it?
and then I
Sure. Yeah, I
can
can do that.
coordinate with Greg and you for,
Carol,
okay, I can.
Oh, she needs the
absolutely.
original though.
But, because we have two copies that are original that Leanne, our advisory council chair, has signed.
Okay.
And my intent is, once we collect your signature, to also collect the signature from the delegation and then
Oh,
transmit one of the copies to you. But, so you tell me how you want to go about moving forward, and that's totally
Are you
fine.
guys comfortable?
well, I'll sign it now,
Yep.
but if you need a delegation signature,
but if you sign 2 copies, we can, what he's saying, sign 2,
yeah. and then-
there'll be 2 originals.
Oh, there's
That's
2 here,
totally-
is it?
That's
And
totally.
it's just the
your
chair.
You'll-
Yeah.
My intention, if one was to have 2 in case I spoke copy on one, I'll be very careful with them, obviously, but to submit one back to the county,
Right,
an
we
original
have, we
copy.
each have 2, there are 2 originals, one will go to us, one to get the.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Well, I'll say, just thank you very much for the continued support. I'm still relatively new to Extension, not new to UNH, and it's really been a pleasure to work with commissioners, work with county government delegation, and just
Yeah.
to see what we're doing across the state. It's really
You guys do a great
been a
job.
blessing.
Thank you for your efforts and your work that to
Appreciate
help our community, right?
Thank
That's
you. My
fundamental.
mom and sister both live in Epping, so we have some, we have extra stake in Rockingham.
Okay.
You don't wanna irritate your mom.
Well, I'm here a lot. Thank you kindly, and you have my email, Leila, too, so we'll be in touch.
Yeah,
and,
thanks, Paul.
we'll take
Appreciate
care. See ya, anyone at the NHAC meeting next week. Take care.
Have a good one.
You as well, I appreciate your time.
You all. Now we're back to Glendale. I appreciate your indulgence to let us do that and take care of that. Jim, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Well, let me first say this. Before I do turn it over to you. Commissioner Godu actually took a look and had some meetings with Jim from Glendale. About the budget and what we can do. And so we were presented with some options at one point in time. And I know that we all had that packet and we all looked at it, so I think we're asking you for, what your thoughts are on what's being proposed. Or what you're proposing.
So basically the combination of doing some price adjustments and doing some operational hours and method of service changes. I would recommend going with 100% price increase. Scaling back to grab and go after 1:30 in the afternoon. So the cafeteria would be full service from until 1:30, right? And then after that would be all self-checkout or grab and go. It'd be cashier there till 2, maybe. Weekends will be all grab and go and no salad bar.
Okay, so the option that you're talking about really kind of brings us back to where it originally started with Glendale.
Everything goes according to plan and buying habits don't change and you don't
Right,
lose any
right.
business. We can probably, the deficit looks like it would be pretty much where it was 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. And I think I had a chance to talk to Commissioner Godu and Jim as well as in the cafeteria. The only thing that I would like to add is maybe in any future contract that we put a inflationary per year, whatever the inflation rate is, add that, just simply so we don't get too far lost. And it's nobody's fault because this is, nothing's been increased for over 6 years. We know inflation has, especially in the food industry, has been ultra high. And then we found out what those numbers were that we're subsidizing, which is, it's just not sustainable from that point of view, but I'm happy to go back to where the original, subsidizing the original piece. Because I do want to keep our employees here. I don't want them going out, spending their money there. So I think this is a fair plan. And, but again, I would like to add that inflationary so that we're not gonna revisit this, or future commissions don't revisit this 6 years down.
One caveat, I didn't remember, after meeting with the commissioner, he had some ideas on some specifics that wouldn't change. And they're in this green column.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a good idea. We should leave those prices alone.
I'm sorry, I don't think I saw the unchanged. Thank you. Did you see this?
And I didn't know.
Okay.
Do you have 2 copies?
Yeah.
We can share, there's a little closer.
So it basically, some of the items would remain the same. Again, that's sticker shock and because those are the items that are the ones that people seem to gravitate to. So I think it won't have a huge impact on the subsidy. Again, we're gonna have to do this and then see how it plays out. There's no guarantee we're gonna hit this number's gonna be dead on.
Can we, just from a perspective of like the impact on employees, and have you, has there been any discussion scuttlebutt in the, or?
Some of my employees actually watch these VOC meetings after they go online and YouTube, and I had a lot of questions from my staff about what does pricing look like at 100% increase. So a lot of my staff members had questions, and unfortunately I didn't really have answers to them. But they expressed that, and I'll speak frankly, they expressed that they don't feel like the service in the Glendale Cafe is to par. They go and they see products that are not there. The salad bar might not be open. Family members have expressed their disappointment in the Glendale Cafe. And now we're talking about increasing prices 100%. And what does that look like for quality? Not only that, but they the quality doesn't improve, they don't want to spend money in our own cafe. They'd rather just go to the grocery store and pick their own foods that they know are of high quality. Not to mention that, but most of our family members who come and visit us are on the weekends. So if we're now gonna close the cafe, lots of our family's members go down into the cafe and have, you know, a dining experience that they don't typically have. So if we're gonna now close that on Saturday and Sunday, what does the quality of life look for that experience for our residents? That they can't go down and share a meal with each other, or they might not have the ability to transport their loved one who is in a broader chair, or if they're in a wheelchair, they might not have the ability to transport residents outside. And we're now taking that experience away from them if we close the cafe Saturdays and Sundays.
All right, those are some good points that I really haven't been able to kind of consider, so.
Well, it's not gonna be closed, but the service model will change.
Well, I know, but I think to Kendra's point, grab and go is very different than ordering a hot meal.
It
Like,
is.
and one has a real, like, more of a like dining experience. One is just like, grabbing something out of the fridge. So,
It's very different.
I guess what is not, obviously we have this data with savings relative to the price increase. What I have not seen, and maybe I missed it, is the perspective changes cost savings by changing the model in terms of hours of service.
It's in the stuff I gave you. Yeah, that's there's
That's the subsidy
that's the result.
of, okay,
So
so it's not,
It's gone from
So,
490 to
but-
190.
I know, but what is the breakdown between, so that comprises of 100% price increase plus the changes.
Yes.
So what portion of that is food related and what portion of that is
Well,
operational?
It's not food related. It's jumping the sales from two something to 223 or 224 annually to 450 annually. So you double the sales. And the rest comes out of payroll. You reduce the payroll by, I'm not exactly sure the amount, but it's quite a bit. Those are the two
I guess
components.
I understand those are the two components. What is the breakdown in the value for those two components?
Well, so basically when the prices are where they are and the sales are $224,000 and the food comes in at $299,000. The food exceeds your sales by about 35%. So when the prices go to 100% increase, with the exception of the items that we outlined here, your sales jumps to 450 and the food cost drops to about 70%. So there's quite a bit there's savings because the price of the food stays the same. The cost of the food stays the same, but the sales have increased. That's the ratio. The rest comes out of not having cashiers at night and cashiers on the weekends. You still have a manager / cook, still have a deli attendant, and you still have a cashier up until 1:30. You still have somebody doing grab and go prep in the back.
Maybe it's me, I'm still confused.
It's
It's because what dollar value is attributed to the ratio and what dollar value is attributed to the reduction in staff?
the dollar value to reduction of staff, I'd have to go back and add up
Yes.
the payroll. It's probably, you know what the number is exactly?
Because
I don't think I know that.
Well, when we changed the weekday and then no weekend, taking the weekend.
Oh, I know what it is.
if that's we may make a decision to not
All right,
change.
so I have that. I don't have it right in front of me. The payroll has been reduced by almost $100,000.
So half
No,
for the
not
subsidy.
a third. Oh, well, half the subsidy.
Yes,
So half of the that's that's
Yes.
the root of
Yes.
what I was trying to get at, what
So
percentage.
the payrolls worth about 100 grand in this entire scenario.
While discussion there, Jim, I was talking to you before the meeting. And you brought up a point that I didn't really think about. When that new building comes online, you're gonna have more people probably utilizing these services, so I don't know. If, and I'm not in the food industry, so I don't know, you tell me, is it, you know, when you're selling more food, does the cost come down?
No,
It doesn't,
it's just sales go up.
Okay.
I mean, the result is the more sales you do, the less subsidy you have. And it's a direct relationship.
But you increase your labor needs as well.
yeah, and then on the labor side of things, I'm assuming that you're just like everybody else, it's tough getting employees and.
Yeah, right now we've got some substantial staffing issues.
And when you say substantial staffing issues, can you expound on
Yeah,
that
so
and
we
what
have-
the impact is to
We have
service?
no manager, we have no deli attendant, we have no cook, and we have one cashier. So we're down 4 employees at the moment.
Is there a plan for, I mean, when I hear that, I'm like, well, we functionally are paying for grab and go, but,
No, we're covering it with our own staff, with our own focus staff.
so what is your staffing, your hiring process looking like in terms?
We had one interview for a manager and he had too many demands, so we're in the process of actively recruiting for each position.
Okay, Commissioner Godu, you have any questions?
Kendra had
Oh,
something, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Go ahead.
I mean, we see
I
the
do have
staffing.
something to say.
We do see the staffing issues right now. I mean, just last week, the cafe was closed a day kind of without warning for us. It was this upcoming weekend, it will be closed. So it will be grab and go anyways this weekend. So our residents, our staff, our family members, our guests, our vendors, we already are experiencing those staffing issues. And I mean, you're down in the kitchen cooking sometimes. So we experience kind of some of this proposed plan already that we have to be very reactionary to pretty constantly and sending out memos to our families and our staff because people are calling out or, you know, the same staffing issues that we experience in the nursing home and assisted living. So some of the proposed information is also, I mean, they're already operating in that manner.
Yeah, we had a couple of unusual things. One of our cashiers went out with some kind of a thyroid surgical issue. Our manager decided just to leave. He walked, wasn't happy. So, Ellen, who was our grab and go production lady, she decided to do something else. So, I mean, this has been one thing after another. And Jeremy, who we all know, had a tragic accident, has decided not to come to the public anymore. So, yeah, we put all these together, we got some staff. Which we're addressing. Well, we're covering, and with Matt Pierce is down there today, he's our executive chef. Dave is pitching in, Paul Lopes comes down from AL and helps out. So it's getting done. It's just, we're having to piece it together week by week until we get this thing restaffed again.
Commissioner Godu?
So I've taken a little extra time to look at this and the first thing that I just want to mention is that we have this cafe to satisfy the needs of our staff that need to eat. And we cannot go out and any restaurant that's close is too far to go to any, there's no restaurants nearby for staff to eat, and they're here on long shifts and I think that is the primary function. Now, secondarily, we have vendors and visitors and such that want to go there, but that's more of a convenience. I'm concerned to have this set up for our staff. Now, we were subsidizing, or we have been subsidizing by $500,000 a year. And that exceeds really where we want to be. And I think we want to be closer to a $200,000 subsidy. That was the original intention. To get there, we do have to reduce staff and raise prices. I think that it is perfectly reasonable to reduce the staff and reduce operating hours. I understand Kendra's concern that we're going to have visitors that don't get to go and have a hot meal with their friends and relatives. But that's not the primary purpose for this, and they can still grab a sandwich and a soda and sit down in a comfortable area. Without that being, I don't see that as a detriment. But this is, at the same time, this is a small business. And so we're gonna have to operate this in a very fluid manner. Items that are on here may need adjustments, prices may need adjustments. Hours might need adjustments. I mean, I think that I don't think it's like we're gonna make a decision right now. And this is what we're gonna live with for the next 2 or 3 years. I think that we need to make a decision to make some initial changes and then plan on reevaluating it in a month or two. Now, specifically, I would like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the invoicing that you give us for the cafe, is that lumped in with the invoicing that we're doing for food service for the rest of the facility? Is it completely separate?
Yes,
Okay, so we can look at that on a regular basis to see.
you'll see changes as we implement this.
Okay, so I would like to see a report in the next couple of months of like where we're at with whatever changes.
Yeah, it'll show on the bill.
Okay, all right. I haven't seen that bill in detail, or I haven't looked at this portion of it. So I'm basically in favor of the 100% increase, except that I've gone through some items and strictly from a marketing standpoint, would like to change the amounts. For instance, your proposal is to leave the salad bar at 50 cents a pound. Well, I mean, how much does a salad bar cost per pound? It's like $3 or $4, right?
Well, not that much, but off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. It's 50, it's by the ounce.
So I think it's perfectly reasonable to make the salad bar $1.
You back with pricing schedule again?
Yeah. In fact, I made a list
Yeah, I see it.
that I shared. Do you have that?
That's your stuff.
Oh, okay, so I guess I would like to make the suggestions that we would make the adjustment right up front. So that there would, I think that we can, a special entree, we probably get $7.
Your salad bar's $1.
The salad bar should be $1. It's 50 cents now.
Yeah, it's
Right, $1.
Yeah, $1 an ounce.
No,
No, it's
pound.
it's an average
No.
price.
No,
It's per ounce.
Per ounce.
This is 50 cents per ounce?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would tell you, you're not gonna get any of our staff buying a salad bar at $1 an ounce.
Yeah.
That is a
remains-
high volume thing. People look forward to
That's-
that as
that's
an
the biggest
alternative.
seller. Yeah.
Well, that's because it's free.
That's the number.
At 50 cents an ounce, we're
It
losing.
is
Think
not.
about an ounce. How-
You can walk out of there with
$5 or
that 50
$6
cents.
with a
and it could
$6
be
salad.
A $6 salad by the time you put all
So
your.
it's gonna be
things on it.
$12.
So you're gonna pay $12 a salad?
I'm just saying from a perspective from a human resource part, and you're asking about our staff,
Retention.
I would, that is a huge that is a huge venue that people go to is that salad for nutritional purposes and everything
Yeah, it's a
else.
healthy option because a lot of.
Yeah, I know. I think
Prep
this is,
foods are not.
Original.
well, the original proposal from Glendale was to leave the salad bar unchanged and the entree special unchanged,
Right.
as well as some chips.
Yeah.
That's and I actually, to that point, I support those, just the 100%.
Strictly an effort to bring us closer to $190,000 a year of subsidy rather than 500. I'm not picking on the salad bar, and I understand that it's a popular item, but we're losing money. We're losing a lot of money on the salad bar.
Michelle,
I just want to add the concern that I think if you're projecting that people are gonna continue to purchase at the volume they're purchasing now, they're not going to. So you're not gonna make
The
all that money that you
sales.
think you're gonna make in sales.
Yeah.
People are not going to buy it at all.
That's the variable.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
I
That
mean,
bridges.
The people that are the people that are going to the salad bar are LNAs or MNAs. They are lower paying positions. We're already having trouble recruiting and retaining these employees, and this is truly a benefit for them. They sometimes don't have money to put gas in their tank to get to work. They sometimes have their only meal here or they purchase 2 meals, they eat it for lunch, they eat it for dinner. We're now gonna increase prices 100% on them. I mean,
They
it's,
can bring a lunch.
but I guess my question is, we are paying people $18 an hour. And this is something that human resources uses as a recruitment, retention. This is a benefit to our employees. If we're already spending millions of dollars on agency staff, if we're spending a fraction of that to subsidize our cafe to continue to keep our employees happy in that small manner, in the larger scheme of what we're looking at and spending an agency cost, I guess that's my concern, is that it might seem small to us, but to some of these employees, it is a huge benefit to be able to get a discounted meal, a hot meal. And that's just my concern, is that, to what Michelle said, that we're increasing people, we anticipate people to keep buying at the rate they are, but if we increase 100%, I think that is wildly off. Because I think people will absolutely just buy meals at home and bring them in.
Well, with what I'll say, the only thing is, with the 100% increase, the proposal, I mean, I know Commissioner Godu had different suggestions, but it proposed leaving the salad bar and the entree special unchanged predominantly. So it does give both salad bar and a hot meal option at a consistent, that's going to remain unchanged. Now, maybe that's, because there will be increases in other things, but it does give, and it's a little more directed, but it does give a good path to maintain reduced costs for hot meals.
This is not the right way to increase prices. I mean,
Yeah,
let's be
no
very
one thinks
blunt.
it is.
We should have done this, and it was in the original agreement that we had 5+ years ago. That the cafeteria prices should be evaluated annually,
Right,
nobody
never
wanted,
happened.
but nobody wanted to hear
We're
it.
just trying to make it.
It should have gone up 5, 6, 7% a
You're
year.
absolutely right.
Especially over the last few years.
Well, from 2018 to about 2021, food prices went up about 50%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy, but now you're here, so
Yeah,
And
so we gotta figure it out and
it's
then,
a Band-Aid.
it is.
No, it's a Band-Aid for this year, because the contract expires, we're gonna be going out to RFP, and then we need to look at, with respect to our RFP, a more robust-ish plan and specifics within the RFP to address these issues and put a plan, to your point, you're an inflationary increase, whatever, what have you, what we need to do to address it. But what we're talking about, so let's just stay focused on what we're talking about is for this fiscal year and this fiscal year only. That's all we're talking about at this point, because it's all,
I just think the timing of the messaging too, we just put the stipend in place, but now we're going ahead and raising the prices on that. So I always look at that because it does have an undercut messaging that goes out that we can't explain to them. They're not going to accept it. Then it's a perception thing too on their end. I'm not saying we can't, you're not. I think there may be a happy medium so that it doesn't look like, okay, yeah, we got these, they put this in place and oh my gosh, now the prices of the food are going up. So, and then I do depend on my food here. Some of them work double shifts, some of them work 12-hour shifts. And we're keeping them here and we're trying to satisfy that place for them too, to have a meal and
But-
offset that as well.
so for me, did you?
No,
For me, there's some new information that I'm hearing that I really kind of need to absorb, but, and I hear on both sides, I get it. But just like in real life, when I go to the grocery store, I have to pay those higher prices, and we've all felt that. So there is some component where it is what it is, food price, what I'm saying, it's food prices have gone up, and there's gonna be a realization that not to change prices over 5 years is really not realistic. Now, having said that, I think you make a very valid point and a good point that, we want to make sure that the employees are utilizing it. And, it's not overly aggressive. So where is that balance? I don't know why. I probably have to do a little bit more research, but the other thing is I know nurses can't leave to go to lunch. I get that. But as Commissioner Godu mentioned, actually, if you go down this road here and you bang a right, you've got a strip mall with all kinds of fast food and different options, pizza and all that stuff, so. I don't wanna stop losing business either. It's not like we're in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, I think. We don't have to make a hard decision today, correct? Or are you
Well-
guys ready to
Well,
do
as
so?
long as we want to continue to pay $500,000 a year,
So-
we don't have to make any decision at all.
So. Operating, I'm just going back to sort of the data, at 100%. Making these changes, which is both the proposal, which includes both of the staffing proportion, which is a reduction in hours, and food cost changes. Would reduce it, again, like, right brain math, is, about 300,000. It reduces the subsidy to about 200,000, so we're saving 300. 100 is to staffing, that means 200 is to food, right?
I'll take.
Well, I don't know,
Well,
for me,
in-
lawyer math would be 50-50, but.
It's an increase in sales.
Increase in
We're
sales.
interchanging food
But-
cost and food sell price.
Well,
Cost is, what it costs to get the product in.
well. I guess like it's sort of from a hard number perspective, and I guess my question is a little more to you, Kendra, would you know, I heard, what I'm hearing from you is from a. Residents' perspective, hours are the priority, and from a staffing perspective, food cost is the priority. So is there a place we could make a happy medium and like prioritize, if you had to say, we should prioritize A over B, recognizing that we have, we have to make some changes in some capacity to stay sustainable. We have, we have a line item transfer for dietary. I mean, this is a constant issue that we need to evaluate, and we have to evaluate it everywhere. What do you think?
I think generally, regardless of the decision we make or you all make, I think it will have unintended consequences that none of us are really aware of. I think that, I think also we need to maybe make mention to the fact that we don't just have 7 to 3, we have 3 to 11, we have 11 to 7, we have weekenders, and sometimes those shifts as well, they feel like a lot of the amenities, the efforts are made to 7 to 3, on a day shift, but they deserve hot food, they deserve hot food, they deserve mention, and it is difficult to, main meals are breakfast and lunch, but you also have people who are working overnight. So I think generally overall, I think quality will be a concern for everyone. I mean, if you're increasing prices, just quality increase with that. I think there's many factors to consider. I don't think I can make mention to one that is more important than the other. I think that it's a kind of a whole piece of a pie that we're just kind of taking slices out of, is my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have to add is that the 200,000 estimated and increased in sales, is that a guarantee?
Nothing is a.
Yeah, so my concern is that people are going to pull back and not buy as much, so I don't even think that number's a realistic number.
In
And
our
that's,
experience, and I've never actually done this before, but in experience with price changes and it usually there's a 2-week period where people sort of grumble and then they sort of accept it and things sort of go back to where they were. Typically, it's 2 weeks, but I've never been in a situation where I've had to jack the prices this dramatically, so I don't know. It's-
Maybe there's an option of keeping it, marketing, like you talked about, Commissioner Godu, the marketing and messaging is really key. And letting people know if it's a slow phase out, but maybe they can't be open Saturday and Sunday, but the marketing is they'll be open on Saturdays for residents. So the message gets out to the families if they're coming to visit. Saturday would be a day that they could come if it was open. It can't be both. I mean, I think there might be some way of doing something to satisfy, but
we can
it's
slice and dice it any way you want.
It's up to the board. Totally up to you.
We're discussing the operation of a small restaurant. And we're not really equipped to run a restaurant. I don't know anything about running a restaurant. You do.
Yeah.
And I would like to turn to your expertise and we have, and you have given us your expertise at what it would look like to reduce the subsidy that we're putting in here. Now, maybe there are some other things that you can adjust that would make this look better. I don't know. But I don't think that. I'm not concerned with this isn't a free food cafe. I'm not looking for this to be, from my perspective, to be like the place that they go instead of going to the grocery store. Because if you're tight on your budgets, you go to the grocery store, you make sandwiches, you bring a salad that you bought lettuce and cut it up at home. You know, there are ways around that. This is a luxury to be able to have this available here. And I think that we have a commitment to keeping the prices at a reasonable level, but we have been unreasonably low, and it might be a little bit painful to make the change. I think that we have to make the change, and we need to monitor it as we move forward over the every month. Maybe we ought to see, you know, when the bills come in, we ought to give a quick overview of you know, are we on for 200,000 a year, or are we on for $500,000 a year still? Because you're right, the sales is going to have a significant, you know, effect. Maybe you find a couple of items that you can sell at a better price, and then it increases sales. I mean, it's you know, there's no pizza on the menu. Maybe pizza is a big seller. You know, and I'm just thinking outside of the box. Just like whatever. And again, I would lean towards you to decide what those items and how that operation ought to go.
We know what sells. I mean, we have hard data on what people buy, and that list of product, the first 25, that's what people buy.
Okay.
So anything else is sort of one-off, and again, the salad bar and the entree, and we do a lot of breakfast business. This morning was kind of tricky.
So if we sell more salad bar, we lose more money.
Well, if you price it incorrectly, yeah.
And at 50 cents an ounce, is that a good pricing?
Barely. You're probably losing, or maybe possibly break. It all depends on what everybody takes. I mean, because if you load a salad up with all the proteins, you're probably losing money, but they're paying more, but you're not paying enough to compensate for what you're taking. It's tricky. Salad bars aren't really a great example. The entree is the best example. We can do all kinds of things with a $6 or $7 entree. I mean, you can eliminate some of the high protein, you know, some of the high cost items, and focus on things that people like, chicken tenders, some of the more run of the mill things.
So
And there's pizza on the menu. They actually sell a lot of pizza. Last time we did a chicken Caesar salad.
Is there pizza on the menu?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
I
did
didn't
6
see it.
it's about 10 from the bottom.
Yeah.
I propose that we talked about how we can make these changes. We can make changes at any point. This is fluid. So why don't we make a first step of just adjusting the, 75% increase? So we can we can start making a change now. And then we can next, we can phase this, then we can watch for 2 weeks, see what happens. And then we can talk about some of the service hours and see where that goes. We don't have to tackle this whole thing in one fell swoop. We can sort of take it piecemeal, make a change so it doesn't, the sting of it doesn't feel so bad for employees. We're making and I think it is important to, where it's delineated to keep the salad bar and entree meals unchanged. That will feel like there's some options for the staff that offer continuity, but we're going to we're only in the, beginning of the fiscal period, so we can look at this in the next 60 days and then, or less, and figure out what the best course of action is.
I think there's probably a reasonable request. And like you said, we can change it.
We're not-
I don't want to revisit it. I don't want to revisit it like every.
No, but we
But,
can,
but the fact of the matter is, I think you had a reasonable request there. I would probably support that. I was really leaning towards the 100 until I heard the testimony and everything. I really like the 100%, because it stopped sort of the bleeding. But I can live with the 75 because if I look at and I'm just rounding numbers here. If we did it like $200,000 subsidy back 5 years ago, I just did a quick lookup of what $200,000 in 2019 is basically 245 today. So I didn't calculate that in, so I think the 75% would probably fall in line with that.
Well, understand, the big savings is a reduction in staff. That's probably the most significant. And each month, when we get that bill, do we see how much we lost?
Mhm.
So we're prepared to lose $17,000 to $20,000 a month on this proposition.
The bill will show you at the bottom how much the
And
subsidy.
I think that we're at 60,000 a month that we're losing in the cafe. And I guess we need, well, if
That
it's
doesn't make
500,000 a year,
That's,
It-
That would be
It all
40.
comes into the wording,
that wouldn't be,
we just gotta
That's-
get.
that's like 40,000.
I think if you phrase it differently, listen, it's a fine balance, right? We just heard that.
40, sorry.
We just heard that we all know that we're doing subsidy for the staff, right? So to me, you had mentioned we gotta give them more money, we gotta give them more wages, we gotta give it, you're, on that side, you're okay to go unlimited.
Yeah, well, I'm marking.
Okay, so
As
what?
far as feeding yourselves, you use that money to go feed
Okay,
yourself.
so to me, it's the same thing, basically. So
We're just-
that's where I'm trying to find a
yeah.
happy medium.
And
So I've kind of changed my thought process coming in. Like I said, I was at the 100%, but I think, after hearing the testimony, I think that we can change it later. Let's do the 75. I don't want to take the big bite of the whole apple. Let's take a couple chunks and just take.
well, I mean, it says the delta in percentage on the savings is, and it's a fair point. If, if the service changes, the price increase delta in the subsidy is like 15,000. So it's not hugely consequential from our budgetary standpoint, but it is consequential from for a consumer perspective, right? So that 25% reduction is significant to the consumer, but not as significant to us. I'm a little bit like, I do want to, in terms of the service model, and to your point, you're saying, listen, the dollars are in the service model. I'm a little confused because, when you said attributing reduction in staffing and the operations is about $100,000 saving, so that's less of that's the smaller percentage of the reduction in subsidy than the food cost percentage impact, right?
Well, the sales go up a
That's if the
couple
sales
$100,000
stay the same.
and staffing goes down 100, so you take those two together, you get a pretty good.
Sure.
But the staffing reduction is fixed. It doesn't change month to month to month. The sales are gonna go up and down.
Right, so, but it presupposes that, by making this change in the staffing pattern, we're probably gonna have a reduction in sales.
Well, for a couple of weeks at least.
Maybe. I mean, I could be, possibly, yeah.
Because if you're intending, like, you only wanna buy out if it's a hot meal, then,
You can get a hot meal, but you're gonna have to pop it in the microwave.
that's, so. My suggestion is that we only deal with the food cost right now. We take a little more time to address the hours, operational hours. And, maybe, and to Commissioner Cherichello's point, let's assess sort of the cafe hours and potential unintended consequences. And then we at least triage a little bit. And then let's reconvene in 2 weeks and reassess, get some data back.
Let me know when you wanna do this, so we can prepare.
Yeah, do you want to make it official next week or do you ready to do it now?
I'm okay moving forward.
I need a start date.
Well, I mean, I'm okay making the motion today and then, and with an implementation, because we would, it would be nice to get a communication out to the staff. So I think we should, if we make the motion to make a change now, then it will give us, and we implement, let's say, I'm just looking at a calendar, Yeah, I mean, if we want to say. No, like we should, the start of beginning August 1st or something like that. That would give a few weeks. Do you think that gives you enough time
We did the
to?
last communication, so we'll craft something, give it
Yeah.
to the board for review and have it for an effective August 1st.
Right,
It can work.
and that gives a little bit of. Commissioner Godu, I'm sorry to,
Yeah,
we were
sorry.
having some further discussion about when to implement this and an opportunity to. If we were gonna implement anything, if the vote is to implement anything, the timing of it and that we theoretically would give a start date of August 1st, so we could craft some communication to the staff.
I'm okay with whatever change we want to make. I believe this is a fluid situation and I really think that we need to start monitoring the monthly bill and evaluate it right from there. In fact, can I get a copy of the June bill specifically for the cafe?
You haven't, yeah.
I mean, I don't need it this minute, but
You
can,
got it, right?
Just, yeah.
that's available. I think we should start looking at that because that's where the subsidies, that's what we're gonna see, clearly see the subsidy
See food, payroll, supplies, you'll see everything on there.
and how much we're
Go to the
subsidy,
bottom, you'll see the stuff.
how much the loss is.
Very good. All right, so Commissioner Coyle, why don't you, I think we're wrapped up. We've been on this for about a half hour, so I think we're ready to do something. I'll let you make a motion.
Okay, I move to approve a increase to the fees at the water for food at the Water Tower Cafe to a 75% increase with the caveats that the salad bar, the entree special, and the omelet remain unchanged. And that those fee increases are implemented commencing August 1st, 2024.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. I think we've talked this through pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'll just take a motion. If
Yes,
someone
yeah.
has anything else to add
No.
on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
I vote yes. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
thanks for your all the effort.
yes.
All right, so now we're on facilities, operation number 2, request for new aqua project.
I move to approve a new arbor project under 1.4 COVID prevention for an amount up to 30,000 for 3 ductless air conditioning units and a heat pump for the delegation building upgrades.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on this one?
Jude, do you think these mini splits are necessary?
I do. It was 94 degrees in there yesterday.
Thank you.
It's tough. Yeah.
All I need to know.
You would have to put a window unit in every room. It's too much. This is way more efficient.
Okay, thank
On the
you.
motion, Commissioner Godu?
yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes. Finance office, line item transfer for long-term care. So
Oh, yeah.
we got a few motions on this.
I move to approve, okay, once again, line item transfer request in the amount of $300,000 dated June 8th, 2024, transferring from several staff lines, service contract lines, and nursing medical supplies to the nursing staff line as recommended by the Director of Clinical Services.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion on this one?
Just,
Mr. Godu?
we were told we were short by $250,000 for the year. And now there's a change. We've got, and there's this transfer and I don't know if the others are related to this as well.
We get some late stuff coming in?
Yeah, basically, even subsequent analysis was done that, some lag and some other invoicing. So Kathy Nasso, the fiscal services manager for long-term care, suggested a higher amount. And so we kind of worked through that 300 should be sufficient to cover everything. So that's why it did go up by 46,000 from 254 to 300.
Does that break us even for the year 2024 or?
Yes, we should be okay with this and not have to go back again.
Okay. Because we're gonna have to go to the executive committee too.
Yeah, I've been working with Cheryl Hurley, so it looks like Friday, July 26th, probably at 9:30 is what they're targeting.
Yeah. Okay,
Meeting date.
further discussion, Mr. Paul, did you have anything?
no, I mean, I think that it was just, what I've seen is that we just didn't have as much savings in contract with nursing as it anticipated.
So on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion number two.
I move to approve a line item transfer request in the amount of $10,000 dated July 8th, 2024, transferring from finance office staff and therapy services to assisted living staff as recommended by the Director of Clinical Services.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Discussion on this one. Seeing none on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion number three.
I move to approve a line item transfer request in the amount of $33,000 dated July 8th, 2024, transferred from assistant county attorneys to nursing home pharmacy drugs as recommended by the Director of Clinical Services.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Discussion on this one.
Pharmacy is running,
Well-
running high. What are we budgeted efficiently for next year? And do we anticipate increased costs in pharmacy?
Think we should be okay. What happened was there was some, I think it was the May bill that had some COVID vaccinations in.
Yeah.
As we get Med D revenue matching off that.
So we
So
should.
this kind of be good news transfer, I guess you could say, the more utilization. Also, there's been more cost outgoing as far as sort of lab, EKG, X-ray, transportation, because the ambulances in this as well. So
Well, it kind of dovetails with our, the beta sets, some of the beta sets may increase costs, right? In the sense of it means more bodies,
More-
more
yeah.
utilization of pharmacy, but you get it back in.
we
other
get
ways
it back
like
in Med D
ProShare
revenue
and
in this
revenue.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, more
Okay.
costs, yes. In the 12th month, you get some of it back. The
Sure.
Medicaid portion will have the loss, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
we're to call the motion.
Yeah, thank you. On the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion number four.
I move to approve line item transfer request in the amount of $7,000 dated July 8th, 2024, transferring from therapy service contracts to dietary equipment repairs and parts as recommended by the Director of Clinical Services.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on this one? On the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion number five.
I move to approve a line item transfer request in the amount of $46,000 dated July 8th, 2024, transferring from therapy service contracts to dietary service contracts as recommended by the Director of Clinical Services.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion on this one?
Okay.
Commissioner Godu?
Is this because of shortages from, that we, didn't budget it up in Glendale?
No, this is because their invoice has continued to run
Hot.
hot, I would say, as compared to when, again, they had different reasons or what have you, as far as for the earlier increased costs, and we had the meetings with them earlier
Mhm.
about service and expenses. And it just continues higher than anticipated than what I think even they were forecasting. And unfortunately, and once that May invoice came in, because I've been watching things, and once I saw how high the May one was still, if the June one comes in about equal, this is needed. So trying to stay in front, and we just barely got that June invoice literally today.
I'm really,
So, yes, today.
just seems like food cost is even higher than comparative to other industries. What is it?
I've got issues with the 40% statement that's been said, because I start questioning where you were from, that there's been 40% increase in cost, as we consumers have not experienced 40% increase in food costs over 4 years.
No, 20%.
20%.
Yeah.
Is what I've been.
But
So anyways, that's
we're-
different. That's an aside. So I
Yeah.
Right.
get
so-
worried, how is your ordering going?
And I
And we had an
think,
issue about food waste before too.
and I think this goes back to, I know there was a lot of food waste because the things weren't rotated and we're getting expired product that we're ending up throwing away and we're not eating, no pun intended, the cost. I think we need to, I guess this is part of the larger conversation about really needing to go out to RFP. The time has come and for us.
Because part of the blame was being placed by Wendell, the prior employee, and I still have not seen, food expenses somehow magically decrease compared to when this other individual was there, that they were putting some of the blame on. So,
All right.
but anyways, I just have to react to numbers and bring it forward and
On the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Mr. Boyle?
Yes.
thank you.
Go on to human resources. This is a discussion for the Zarino. Years of service. Allison?
I
Oh, fun stuff now.
hope so. I hope you look at it that way.
Depends how much wine.
Not from there.
Nelson, take it away.
Okay, so Eileen is here. I brought Eileen because she has done a lot of work on the venue and looking at things. And I know Commissioner Coyle we talked about over the last 2 or 3 years, we had some staff ask me if they could bring spouses or significant others with them. So we brought back a spreadsheet I think you all received that talked about a couple different options, if it's just employees, if it's employees and our guests, or if it's employees, guests with a half cost of the meal. She let you know how much a half price cost of the meal would be, because that fact that they have to factor in the state tax, the administrative fees and other expenses to that. But if you look on the far left-hand corner in the gray box, we put 2023, we had anticipated 86. We had 86 people and the commissioners that year. FY 24, we had 63 because we had a lot of people that really wanted to bring a guest, and then we're very much saying we're not going to come because that was part of it and others had other obligations. So we were able to encumber some of those funds over because they didn't use. So we had anticipated for FY 25 a total cost of $9,725. We have encumbered, we have an encumbered amount of $8,500. That would give us a total of $18,225. If you wanted to include guests, I don't expect that everyone would bring a significant other. We also did it on the beef, the higher cost price. It's easier to do it on that. And then if people are picking chicken or a vegetarian or a fish meal, which might come in lower, the cost of course would be lower than expected. So you can see if it is just option one, which is our county employees, we're anticipating the cost to be $7,923. I think we put it at $8,000, give or take. Option two, you can see would be with the employees for the full meal costs and the guests. That would come to 14. We anticipate 14,486 or 14,500. Option three would be the employees, then the guests paying $30.84. And I don't know how many people would be inclined to pay the $34.84 if it's half the price. Yeah, $30, excuse me. So that would be $11,749.88. And option four is the guests pay their own meal. So that would be $9,401.36 total with our costs included in that for the employees. Is that correct?
Yeah, ultimately it would cost more to have guests, even if they pay for themselves, because we have to pay for servers and other
Oh,
things
yeah.
down there.
Yeah, so
Um,
I'll put it out there.
I was just gonna, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go first, you go first.
I think the happy medium is, and rather than $30.84, I'd say we do something right in the middle and say $30 for, just put it at $30 for a guest. Because I think we'll still be largely into budget. We have encumbered a little, though, it's, and it, I don't think it doesn't cover everything, but it allows people to bring family members. And if you're, as a employee, you're like, you and your partner can have
One
go ahead. And yeah, exactly. It's like $30 for 2 people for the evening. Feels okay to me, but that's where
Commissioner Godu, did you have anything?
Yeah, I have a question. We've budgeted $9,700, $9,725.
Yes.
What is the encumbering? What?
So we had budgeted for monies from last year for the Years of Service Award, but we had a significant number of people that didn't decline to go to the event. So that money was still in the budget, and I take it from 1 year and I move it over to the next year.
Okay, so I don't understand that. At the end of the year, we usually take everything that's over budgeted, which we've already done it a little differently this year with all the line item transfers. But that goes into the general fund, goes into the unreserved cash. How is it that this money that you didn't use last year gets carried over to the next fiscal year? That's not a procedure that
We have done that. Most
If
departments
it's a
have done that.
usually if it's a dedicated fund.
It is.
Sometimes there's also events that might have been initially thought of during budget time, but never came to pass as well. That monies, you intend to do it maybe the next year or whatever kind of event stuff you would encumber monies before to next year. So then you're not re-budgeting or adding to possibly appropriations for next year.
And in this case, we did encumber it because we were seeing a raise in cost from the venues. If we went to Exeter Inn again, it would have been double. It came in at double the amount from what it had been the previous year. So if I didn't encumber that, we were fortunate that when we went to Zavino, some of the other ones were at 14, some were at 25,000 that we looked at, venues with the meals and costs. It just happened, Eileen was really going out there and looking at places because we want to keep it in Rockingham County and we need a venue that you wanted to have it at one night with everybody instead of 2 separate nights. So that was how we found Zorvino's and their costs. They're willing to work with us and those were their costs.
And I support that. So, and I like the plan of offering a spouse at $30. If spouses want to go, I don't think that we should just open it to everyone. And then double our, exposure, but a $30 option for somebody that really wants to go. We'll see how that works out if people are interested, but.
And we might still would be even within our budget.
Right. It's, we don't know until, so Zovino. $30 for guests. I think that's a good deal.
Okay.
I'm concerned with the encumbrances carrying over from year to year. That it's strictly from an accounting standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know what other ones, and maybe we can talk about them later. You can tell me what other ones are out there.
So it sounds like you guys are both on the same page before I even said anything, which is fine. So maybe if I chime in, if I change a mind, great. If I don't, then we know where we're at. So I kind of look at this as a retention thing as well. I remember the previous year you had mentioned that people weren't going because they couldn't bring a spouse. And I kind of felt bad about that, to be honest. This is a time that we all collectively as a group can actually get outside of the workplace and recognize people and for 2 hours or whatever, have a good time. I was honestly gonna say we just include a one guest for everybody. It's short money. Would we say that cost would be 14,000?
14,500.
Okay, versus what?
We do the $30, it would be about
An
12.
increase
That's right.
Yeah.
of
So
26.
it's not a lot of money. And so to me, and I get it. And like I said, if we want to do the third, that's fine too. But I just feel that this is one thing that I think makes sense to do that and invite the people, and if they want to bring someone, they can. But so I don't know if I flipped anyone's opinion, but if not, then we can kind of move on and make a decision.
Have we ever done this before? Have we ever invited spouses?
No, what happened was it kind of came up, the commissioners, we afforded them to bring their significant others because they're busy all day and they, and then somebody brought it to my attention and said, hey, listen, is it possible to bring a spouse? But it was too far beyond that. And then last year it was brought up again. So it just was the commissioners only. We just didn't, no guests for that. So, and it was brought up again, is there any chance that we can, 1 or 2 departments, can we bring a spouse? And I said, this year I'll bring it forward to the board. I just feel it's a want for some people that are getting the need, departments that are having somebody so that they can be recognized more formally amongst their colleagues, but with their significant other, spouse or whatever, their guests there. And we're not going to be doing the NHAC award recipients anymore at this event, which we have in the last 2 or 3 years because of the COVID. We're going to recognize them as a whole up at the conference this coming fall. That's where we'll recognize them. So it's truly a years of service event for those people from 5 years up to 40 years that will be acknowledged at the event.
What time is it?
It's on the 23rd, and I think we said it's going to be at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. On October 23rd.
So that's not particularly conducive time to bringing spouses. So I would think that the take up would be low. The number of people that would be looking to bring guests at 4:30 in the afternoon. It's not like it's an evening 7 or 8 o'clock in the
It
evening.
might, because it's a special night and they have knowledge on October that, I'll be publicizing it on October 23rd is our night. They may be more inclined to have somebody that is aware of the night and making arrangements from their work to attend. But do I think 78 would come. No, I don't believe that, because I also don't believe all of our recipients attend these either for one reason or another. Some people just like to be acknowledged low key, get the gift from somebody else. Others do like to come. So it's a
And
mix.
there's a huge variation in price based on what meal you choose, which is,
Correct.
which,
Right.
you know, will also reduce the cost. The reason I thought that, and I know we've encumbered some money, but I think it's try to, in an effort to stay on budget, what I think anticipate is if we say $30, that will bring us within budget for our budget year, which is what we, you know, want to model and try to do. And I think, you know, the overall, still, I hold that people will still view that, everybody know, you know, you really can't get very much for $30, and this would be a pleasant meal, and I still feel kind of comfortable at that.
I don't have a problem inviting the spouses. Because I don't think that many are gonna go, and I think that not everybody's gonna get beef. And we're at an inexpensive venue. We have it in the budget, if you're saying that encumbrance is still there, so it's not gonna hurt us this year. We may have to reevaluate the process for next year. I think that we should let people bring guests. I agree with Commissioner Chercello.
Michelle had something to say?
Yeah, I think the $30 is a good value price. But if we do have a staff member who comes forward and it's a hardship for them, is there gonna be,
I would
Will we
definitely ask for a hardship,
evaluate
and
that and look at, okay.
that's what,
But-
but I think these
Something
guys
I won't
wanna
point
do.
Instead of
it's
hearing
not
that they
issue.
don't come,
I
you know what I
agree,
mean?
I totally
And-
agree, I was going to
Good
suggest.
point, because it's,
These guys want.
two commissioners are in agreement to allow one guest.
So that, sorry, that 8,500 will be is planned to be encumbered this year to go into next year. That was what we did on this. That goes in for FY 24 to 25. That's one of our requests to have that encumbered.
Well, so do we have the budget or do we not?
We will. have
Chuck?
it. If that 8,500, we're gonna put forward to be encumbered.
Well, I mean, encumbrance deadline is coming up.
Right, but I'm just saying, just so you
In
know
a
that that's
week.
going.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So you, but we have to improve the encumbrance first, like it's the cart's ahead of the horse a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
all right, so are we all comfortable now? That decision, or do we need to make it official, or,
Yeah, there is a motion, and I'll make
Okay,
a
gotcha.
motion accordingly.
thank you.
I move to approve there's a vineyard contract for the October 23rd, 24 years of service event venue with catering option number one. I'm sorry, not number one, number two. Option number two, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, I think we discussed it, so on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
I'm just at option three, so I'm no to this.
you're a no, okay, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So two. Okay, so now we're at, motion number two.
Move to authorize the senior director of human resources to secure their reservation with a $750 deposit.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, on the motion, Commissioner Coyle.
Yes,
Commissioner Godu.
Yes.
I vote yes. Employee retention and engagement aqua
I
project.
move to approve an employee retention engagement activity ice cream emergency utilizing the category 2.35 of the ARPA project funds as recommended by the senior director of human resources.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. The only thing,
Wait,
ice cream emergency? What's ice cream emergency?
Actually,
That's the name of it.
Commissioner
Oh.
Gottlieb sent me an email saying, hey, I just took a picture of this
Mobile
van.
ice cream
So
parlor,
I sent it to Eileen and she immediately called and it just worked out.
and they're Salem based.
Oh, that's it.
Well, I was at a Salem business and as I was walking in, there's this new beautifully decorated van from the outside. I didn't even see it from the outside, but I said, this is exactly what we're doing. And
Yeah.
it looks nice. It looked like it was fun.
You can make a
as long as
Sunday.
it's serving good ice cream and stuff, I'm sure it'll be a positive.
Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle.
Yes,
And I vote yes. General leave assisted living.
I move to approve a general leave request for assisted living employee MS with county portion of all benefits to continue for the period July 4th, 2024 through July 18th, 2024, as recommended by the human resources manager and assisted living general manager.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion on this one?
What do
None?
we
Oh.
think will be extending beyond this? If we approve.
From my knowledge, my anticipation, I have not heard from this employee. And we're
Do we need to sign?
very actively wanting to get a response from this employee.
So,
From a HR perspective, yes, we expected this additional time was what she needed and that she will be returning to clearance. If it goes beyond that, it'll be coming.
This meeting is being recorded.
Great.
Okay. Further discussion? On the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Vote yes. LNA apprentice agreement approval.
I move to approve the LNA apprentice agreement as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just more effort to try to help with recruitment.
All right, on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. Long-term care, travel and training request.
I move to approve a travel and training request for a long-term care employee DR to attend the American Nurses Credentialing Center 2024 National Magnet Conference and Pathway to Excellence Conference to be held October 30th, 2024 through November 1st, 2024 in New Orleans, Louisiana at an estimated total cost of $2,650 as recommended by the Director of Clinical Services.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on this one?
Good conference and she only goes to every 2 or 3 years, so we encourage training.
It's only 2 pages.
On the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, adult medical daycare, invoice details and continued discussion.
I think
We
we
hammered
took
that
that
one
out,
out.
fine, yeah.
So let's go to department head updates. I know everybody's been waiting. It's been a long meeting today, longer than usual, so. I'm gonna go, the sheriff department gone? Are they still there?
Yes, they did leave.
Okay, Kathy Stacy. Good morning.
Good morning. Business as usual over here. I did want to tell you that I attended a session yesterday up at Primex for the regional cyber defense training. It was really fantastic. I actually took notes and typed them up and sent them over to Robin. I really think it's something that I would have liked to seen somebody from the county there because it was really informational. It was put on by the Adam Group, which is the group that helps when people have a cyber attack. They're actually very good. I mean, when we got nailed in Salem, we were very fortunate to have them involved with it through Primex. But yeah, really good information about what's happening out there, and they do it every quarter so that you get a whole review of what's been happening in the state and a lot of free stuff. So hopefully Robin will take a look at all the stuff that the state is providing for free and take advantage of it. That's
I mean, thanks, Kathy. The other thing is, I mean, Robin is so great at utilizing grant resources and finding money, so I have no doubt, she's like incredible at that. So I have no doubt. Kathy, did you see on a sign, are you done?
Yep.
Okay, did you see that there was the largest number of in history of real estate transactions in, I think, the Seacoast over $1 million. It's just.
Price points.
Told you, wasn't it last week? I was telling you, I think we had 3 or 4 and they were all in Rye and they were just crazy prices, crazy prices. Yep. Yeah. So, we get our 4%, so I'm happy about that.
Very good. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Superintendent Henry. You staying
Good
cool?
morning, everybody.
You staying-
Let's see, we're at 156 inside. As HR said, we've gotten a lot of applicants, which has been great because of the new pay and an autumn putting it top of the list. So a lot of interviews are scheduled for the next 2 weeks. Also from our Securus, which is our phone vendor, they're launching a new product called the Devo for free. It is going to be on all the tablets for inmates. They can do college courses. They can do all kinds of programs, everything else. They can get transcripts. They can get certificates. So it's gonna be at no cost, which is great. So it really beefs up our programs, especially for those that are not in our STAR program, but so pretrial people, those are maybe in our segregation because they can't handle being other places. They're still gonna have an opportunity to do programs, which is fantastic.
That's great.
I also like to thank Jude as well. We've had AC issues here. Yesterday she lost some power and was sticky this morning. It's all back on. Our F block unit is some issues, and I know sure Jude's gonna be working with you guys because I think she has to bring a specialist in, but I'll let her talk about that. And then if you saw the paper yesterday, one of our ex-officers who was charged with sexually inappropriate stuff with female inmates, another inmate came out of the woodwork, and so his trial date was pushed, which made the Seacoast Online paper. And that's what I've got.
Okay, we have a question from Commissioner Godu.
Could you address the reason why we are not able to allow Donald Fraze to?
I would go non-public, sir.
That would non-public, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can stay on for that.
I would like to get an answer on that since
Yes,
we
sir.
were addressed.
All
Okay,
right,
thank
we
you.
go
Check it out.
Jude Gates.
Okay.
One, Jude.
Good morning, everyone. All's well in facilities this week, although we have had some major challenges. And thank you for your kind words, Commissioner Coyle, that everybody is working so hard to try and keep up. Yesterday afternoon, we had the second Raven initiate a blown fuse on our power service, the second time in as many weeks. So it was a really difficult day. It was over 100 degrees at the time when the fuse was blown. Eversource was remarkably responsive. I'm sure they're really straight out as well. And I just have to say they got out here as quickly as they could. The fuse that was blown is actually behind the primary and it belongs to the county. So we will be charged for it. Nonetheless, they got us back going in a few short hours. And in the nursing home, none of the air conditioning is on generator. So we were on an emergency generator, but we lost all of the condensing units in the nursing home, and we lost the chiller in the jail. So we've just about caught up this morning. There's still a few issues in Blaisdell. I've been keeping an eye on it. Most of the alarms have cleared. We have a couple of rooms that are hovering around 79, but truly the residents they kind of like that. I mean, a lot of the residents prefer 80. I personally prefer 80. When I'm over there, I want 80. So we are working on it. We're getting ahead of it, and hopefully things will settle down. We've been challenged on F block. My guys have had that unit completely torn apart, and it stops making air conditioning after 80 degrees. Don't know why. We may have to bring in an outside contractor to evaluate it. It's been cleaned. The belts have been done. The motors have been changed. The dampers have been they've done everything they could do. And for whatever reason, it's tripping out when it gets too warm outside, which is when we need it most. So they've been very patient. Jason's been wonderful. They brought in some fans, and they seem to be managing it very effectively. But it's been a real challenge, and I think we're going to have to throw in the towel and get some help on that. I wanted to let you know for the first time, just to say one good thing about staffing, for the first time in my memory, we have a full staff. Right?
Wow.
I mean, it's just amazing. Autumn brought in 2 shift technicians. She brought them in the day before she went off to get married. So as long as they make it through their pre-employment and et cetera this week, they're supposed to start next week. And it'll be the first time in so many years that we're fully staffed. It's very exciting. So we're really happy about that. I do think that the commissioner's efforts at the last CBA negotiation made all the difference in the world, being able to advertise those higher rates. I think it's why we got the plumbers that we brought in. And I know Allison's been watching the market for years and years and was really instrumental in those changes, and I'm grateful to all of you because it's important work and it's hard to find people to do it. So Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to report. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, Jude. I'm gonna go to Kendra.
Good morning. So huge testament to Jude and her staff yesterday. The facility did go through the blown transformer yesterday, but operations weren't too disturbed. There was no AC, so it was a little toasty, but like Jude said, most of our residents love that. But really not too much of a disruption in services. So our disaster planning and all of our trials that we have done with that really came in handy. We do have window washing happening within the community as well. Hopefully they should be wrapped up by the end of next week. They're washing all of the windows inside and outside. And then assisted living census is sitting at 47. We do have 2 deposits on hand. So at the end of the month, we will have a full census sitting at 49.
Great. Michelle.
Yes, so last week, Wednesday afternoon, we did have one resident test positive for COVID. That resident was removed from their unit and transferred up to the skilled unit on F2 so that they could be in a private room. We initiated contact tracing for staff and residents, and knock on wood, we are almost completed with that. We're on our last round that will end tomorrow. And the resident will come off with precautions on Saturday. And we've had no other positives as a result of that. So whether it was an external exposure, whatever, we're not quite sure, but we have not identified any other positive COVID cases out of that. So that's great news. And then this week, we also had our quality checks on our medical equipment. All of our AED machines, our suction machines, our vital sign machines were inspected for the annual inspection process. And they all passed minus some minor things that are going to be addressed and fixed very quickly. So all of our equipment meets the quality standards and requirements.
Great. That's awesome. Chuck.
Unfortunately, I don't know if you want this under new business or not, but I did have 2 late things that unfortunately came in afterwards.
Oh, that's.
Well, again, continuing to scour the expense lines. And there was a payout for former environmental services employee that I'm just requesting from the board that just the earned time and holiday time separation piece go to comp abs. If that's not approved, then we'll need another line transfer because I had actually utilized what appeared to be, well, over 2 different transfers, taking from the environmental services staff line to the nursing staff line to help support, like I said, a couple earlier transfers to the nursing staff line. So I'm not looking for the bi-weekly regular payment, just the holiday and earned time separation payout piece,
For
just to go to
that one
comp abs.
individual.
For that one
Yeah.
individual. And then the other item, sorry, is this really is a good news transfer item.
Good.
That when doing the bed assessment tax expense, which is 5.5% of all what the DRA sees as net patient revenues. Basically, they see almost any long-term care revenue as net patient revenue. I had, based upon what Jason had for the revenue for the budget for 24, I'd even gone above by almost $1 million to cover for potential bed assessment tax, which is filed quarterly and due quarterly. Well, goodness is nursing home revenue came in so high, we actually need a transfer. So nursing home revenue, that would be patient revenue, came in about 2.47 million over budget. 1.9 of that can be seen coming from additional pro share over budget.
Nice.
But as a result, there's the offset that, well, there's a 5.5% tax on that additional amount too. So this is the good news transfer. I am requesting or proposing that the amount come from delegation contingency, because again, we did not think we would have this much, additional revenue. So it wasn't able to be foreseen that, when we were doing the budget for 24 last year. So it would need like a quick cover letter from the board officially requesting of the executive committee, the delegation to, have the monies come from their contingency line. But again, fully 100% good news transfer. So,
All right,
sorry, so like those two additional items, obviously busy with payroll, because obviously all the COLA changes going through, some also have their evals going through, so looking at. So those numbers coming across,
Business. Or-
just overall very busy. We had first round interviews with another grant writer candidate, and from all reports, that went well.
okay, good.
So hopefully we will have some good news in maybe a couple of weeks with having a new grant writer come in for it, so.
Great, awesome. All right, Layla, I'm sorry, Allison, and then Layla.
I just wanted to let you know Martha McGowan, who is the nurse practitioner in Employee Health Services, her brother passed away this week.
Oh,
So we're trying to support her. She will be out of the office Friday. We did get coverage for her today, but unfortunately that office will have to be shut down on Friday to allow her to, attend to things. They're just a little bit short on coverage because of vacations that they have. We've been doing, we had a lot of stuff going on Monday and on yesterday on the long-term care administrator interviews. So there was a lot of prep and time spent on that. PCNs and audits and the data entry has been going on since mid last week. And I think we finished that data entry late yesterday afternoon with the staff that were there. It's a lot of stuff that has happened within the last 5 to 6 days. So we're happy to have that over on the payroll side of the house now. Because they were waiting for us, and there's been a lot of employee relations stuff. I just think it's kind of the climate out there right now. So a lot of things that you wouldn't expect are going on. So that's where we're at.
very good, and glad to hear that Jude's fully staffed. That's been like a
Yeah.
3-year thing,
We
so
couldn't
that's
believe
great.
that.
Well, I mean, it is, I guess it reveals how long it takes to get it. So we've kind of, it's been a sort of a 2-year process for, but we've gone there, right?
Yeah.
In facilities.
Corrections.
We've had a 2-year process, but we're back there with corrections. And so again, now it's like
One more last piece of the
yeah,
puzzle.
but what it reveals, although somewhat anecdotally, is that the work it works. It works when you get wages to where their market, people want to come to work here because it is a great place to work. But it is a matter of making sure we we are at market with pay. So,
I thought I heard someone sending Morse code, but.
yeah, I know.
All right, very good. Layla,
Hi.
hi,
Hi.
we'll ask her on the view soon.
I really have nothing new to report, except this week just seemed extra chaotic for some reason.
I know.
Yeah.
It really was. I don't know what it's like. And usually at the start of the fiscal year, I guess maybe we just have the carryover from 24, but usually it's a little quieter.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
know that the team that we have in place will get through everything. Sometimes it can get chaotic.
Yeah.
But I have full
Thank you.
confidence in the team. You guys do a great job, so, but thank you, Layla.
Okay,
We're on to new business.
yes, so we have the walk-in for finance and I move to approve the general ledger coding, the earned time and holiday time separation payouts included in the May 6, 2024 miscellaneous payroll for former environmental services employee WC to go to the compensated absences fund as recommended by the senior director of finance.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Is there another that will be the one, right?
Yeah, the one on,
Sorry, I don't have a motion.
Okay, I get it.
so this is, I'm just. pulling it up.
You have a hard copy.
Oh, sure, that's great, thank you. I move to request a line item transfer in the amount of $87,657 from the bed assessment. I'm sorry, from the delegation contingency to the bed assessment as recommended by the senior director of finance.
Second,
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
no.
Seeing none on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're on to public comments. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to speak, now is your opportunity. I do see one person on there. I'll give them a second if they'd like to come on to say anything. I think he hits, what is it, *9 to demute?
Please drop.
All right.
Oh, that's the first one. Okay. I'm gonna,
I do
yeah,
have, sorry to go back,
No,
one,
no
one thing on old business. Last week I was asked about the increase in the music program, the cost of the music program. I didn't have the contract at that time, but I do now.
Okay.
So it is an increase of $82 a week, just so you know that.
Okay.
all right, very good.
Consistent with, I just wanted to know where it was. Thank you for giving that information.
Okay. So, what do we have for non-public?
We have
You have a few?
2, and then we have them.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna entertain a motion to go into non-public
And
at
then
this
we'll
time.
come back into public for that.
And everybody that's out there, thank you very much for your participation this week. Keep up the good work.
Okay,
Commissioner
so I move to enter
Yeah.
into non-public pursuant to 91A:3.
Second,
Motion been made and seconded on the motion, Commissioner Foil?
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
yes.
And I vote yes.
so Allison, we have Jason's very quickly. Yeah. We've come out of non-public and we have a number of issues, but I move to seal the minutes indefinitely with respect to the Department of Corrections matter, because divulgence of the information could improperly disparage the reputation of a member of the community other than this board.
Second,
Motion been made and seconded on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
second,
Commissioner
yes.
Foil?
Yes,
And I vote yes.
move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Second, we are.
Yes.
adjourned.
Yeah.
all
Thank
in
you very
favor?
much.
You're all.
Oof, that was a long one.